Russ Duerstine, the Executive Director of Concerned Veterans for America. And so the Biden administration announced this week that the veterans have filed 1 million claims for benefits from toxic exposure. Filing is just one step. What kind of care are they actually getting or still need for exposure to burn pits?
Right. So that brings a lot of new patients into the system, and one of the things that we've been concerned about is the backlog of existing patients and what it takes to be able to see that backlog whittled down to a time where wait times aren't causing a factor where somebody might have cancer, stage 1 cancer, and by the time they actually receive medical care, it's stage 3 or stage 4. And so we find with this the solution is that wait times is still a big issue. So we're taking care of veterans from burn pit issues, but we still are struggling with wait times, and that's a big problem.
And moving forward, is this still a bipartisan effort, a bipartisan movement? Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, it is. And so one of the things that we find is really exciting is we see a bill coming out from Senator Moran and Senator Sinema, for the Veterans Health Act. And the idea being that we can take existing law, the 2018 Mission Act, and codify what it takes to get wait times reduced and lowered. And so we're real excited about that's what we did on Vets on the Hill the last 3 days. We were out in these vests knocking on doors, and it was really great to find bipartisan support for the idea that veterans need more choice and they need to get in to see a doctor quicker.
And we know that President Biden also said that proposals from House Republicans could cut VA programs and end up delaying this much needed care for veterans. Now, is that the case, and if it is, to what extent could it hurt the progress for veterans?
That's not a position that we share, that would necessarily take place. What we're finding is that the relief of wait times is actually cost effective and not cost more money. The budget concerns, the VA budget has quadrupled in the last 10 years. And yet the amount of patients and how quickly they're seeing is getting worse. So money isn't necessarily the problem, it's the methods and the standards. So we're saying we need to spend money smarter, not necessarily more of it.
And you also talked about that members and volunteers are already in D.C. Right now to talk about these issues. What other problems are veterans facing and could also face long term?
Obviously, mental health is a huge issue. Wait times that we talked about for burn pits, cancer, other issues, that's obviously critical. But when somebody's struggling with mental health and they can't quickly see a physician either at the VA or in their local office, we think it's a big contributor to the suicide problems we have with veterans, veteran homelessness. So if someone hasn't retired in the system and they don't have health care insurance they get from being a retiree, a lot of our combat veterans are coming home. They haven't served long enough to retire. They're having mental health issues, and they can't see a doctor quickly or get mental health services quickly. And so it's one of the #1 things when we go to town halls across the country and talk to elected officials or bring veterans in, I think we get that question more than any other. How do I get my mental health services for my friend, my family, myself quicker than what we're currently getting them?
As far as mental health services, is this something now that more people are starting to get behind for our men and women who've served? Because mental health back when we were younger might have been a taboo topic to discuss. Sure. But talk about here in 2023, is mental health awareness among our veterans now more accepted among the population? It
is, and I think that taboo part of it is coming down. I think when you look at even with sports athletes and traumatic brain injuries, and you see the same thing in service related, it's not as taboo to talk about what impact does that have on your mental health, because obviously it's great. And then the stress of being in battle, and you notice we've been engaged in 20-year wars. We're sending folks to combat tours over and over and over again. That mental stress adds up. And so it is becoming less like, let's not talk about it, and more like it's a real problem. Let's be open, let's not be ashamed, and let's deal with it.